Which other African country, post-colonialism, has got a more successful blueprint than South Africa?
Rwanda is currently doing well at the moment, Rwanda is currently doing well at the moment.
Rwanda is not as successful as South Africa, my brother. Not by any margin. Rwanda is not by any. The only thing Rwanda succeeds South Africa on is being the cleanest country in Africa. That's it. You can't compare Rwanda with South Africa in anything else besides cleanliness. That's it.
In Rwanda, it's not only clean, but it's growing economically. My method of fixing Africa is the same method that is used by Patrice Motsepe to fix what you call the African Cup of Nations. Motsepe created the Sundowns. Sundowns became a potent force who PSL, dominated the PSL and became a continental force by being one of the top 5 or top 3 countries on the continent. Due to his capacity as a person who's able to navigate or build a strong and powerful football institution, he went to the upper echelons of African football and became the president of CAF. What is happening with CAF, Manj? What is happening with CAF, Manj? They were able to trust the leadership of Motsepe because he had the pedigree and the potency to do that. I'm saying once we've got the economic resources which is Motsepe has, we'll be able to influence what you call decisions and institutions that happen within those particular countries. But those particular decisions that will be influencing will be directed upon within the direction of alleviating the living conditions of people that are within those countries. Secondly, Motsepe has been able to demonstrate this as a viable way of actually developing African football. I'm saying let's take that very same modus operandi and implement it in different spheres of the economy, in different spheres of society. And I believe, Yoguti, that on its own will be one of the ways in which we'll be able to solve what you call what you call the problems that we have. Proof of this, Sengvan. South Africa was responsible not only, the apartheid government was responsible and not only for governing what you call South Africa, because they were well organized. There were minimum foreigners that were coming into South Africa. And Germany, when it left in Namibia, it was able to hand over in Namibia to what you call to the apartheid regime because he knew Yoguti, they had the pedigree and the competence to be able to govern that particular country in the absence of those Germans that were governing in Namibia. So I'm saying we can do the very same thing, provided our house is in order.
Can I ask you a question quickly?
Sure.
Which other African country, post-colonialism, has got a more successful blueprint than South Africa? Don't mention Seychelles, don't mention Mauritius, because they never had an exodus of YT people. So which other country currently, as things stand, besides South Africa, that has the blueprint of how to succeed post-colonialism?
Rwanda is currently doing well at the moment, Rwanda is currently doing well at the moment.
Rwanda is not as successful as South Africa, my brother. Not by any margin.
Your question was, which other country has been able to demonstrate competence in terms of governance, economic development outside what you call Ntolena as South Africa? But I'm thinking you're saying if we had to compare other African countries with South Africa, which other black governed country has been able to succeed as much as South Africa is succeeding? I'm telling you, in Rwanda has been able to do that. In Rwanda, do you know currently what it's being called? In Rwanda, it's being called.
No, but how? Okay, wow.
Remember, in Rwanda experienced the genocide. 1994, it experienced the genocide. In the early 90s. In Rwanda, it was on a rebuilding phase, and after getting their house in order, we can actually see the fruits of the redevelopment or the rebuilding phase that are actually taking place. So I'm saying the country that comes close to South Africa after they experience a massive genocide, it's Rwanda. In Rwanda is currently called the Singapore of Africa, and I'm saying, Yoguti, we don't need to focus on every African continent or every African. Fix our house. After fixing our house, we take the very same blueprint, simikise Lesotho, simikise Swaziland, simikise Botswana, simikise Namibia, simikisa all other countries that refuse to be progressive. Tina, we enforce progressive principles, ideologies, and institutions within those particular countries. I gave you a typical example.
No, Rwanda is not a good example. Rwanda is not a good example. Firstly,
give me an
and
example as to why. Give me an example as to why.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Firstly, Rwanda isn't a good example of what I'm talking about because Rwanda did not have a mass exodus of white people like the other countries in Africa did. And also, Rwanda is not the only thing Rwanda succeeds South Africa on is being the cleanest country in Africa. That's it. You can't compare Rwanda with South Africa in anything else besides cleanliness. That's it. So there isn't any other country in the continent of Africa post-colonialism that has that is as successful as South Africa. There isn't one. The Seychelles is more successful than South Africa, but they've never had a mass exodus of white people. So how are we then asked to adopt methodologies that have been used by other countries that have failed, and yet we are the country that is successful more than Rwanda with our methodology, and other people don't want to use our methodology?
I think you're missing the point, lah. I agree now, and saying you go to all like if you study I think it was the previous slide was in. South Africa has the most number of white people in the African continent, and that on its own explains as to why South Africa is so developed. Because these white people are not just citizens, but they've got businesses and they've invested massively within South Africa. And secondly, they've got good relationships with multinational companies, and as a result, when these multinational companies, your Google, your Facebook, want to set up shop, the first people that they bring on board, it's their own people. And then these South Africans are able to create opportunities and room to maneuver for South Africans, whether black, Indian, colored, So that's why we are able to succeed. I'm saying, I agree with you, and saying you go to a country that has the least number of populations of white people and is able to succeed in the manner that it's doing. In Rwanda, number one, in Rwanda, it's clean because it has proper officials, that are governing that particular country and are emphasizing the significance and need of being clean. What does cleanliness represent? Number one, it represents governmental efficiency. Number two, it represents governmental cooperation. Meaning, in other words, the government has a variety of systems that the institutions that they've put in place, in which those institutions work together on a collaborative basis to achieve a common goal and objective, which is the cleanliness. But number two, in Rwanda, it's not only clean, but it's growing economically. The true measure of the competence of a country, it's measured through its economic matrix. In Rwanda, it's growing economically. In Rwanda, it's investing massively within its people. So I'm saying that's one of, I'm saying Rwanda, it's a very comparable example, even though it's not at the same level as South Africa. My approach is not impractical. My approach is very much practical. Patrice Motsepe demonstrated that. Number two, Donald Trump did that. He fucked shit up. He stirred things up on a global basis so that people might come to him and negotiate favorable conditions now. So I'm saying if we've got a good economy, we become the envy.
Msanganipho, I was on call, but I couldn't wait because I saw what you are going the wrong. Let us miss man. Please, let's go to the next speaker. Hi. Nenda what you want to take over other countries. Uhlule Rwanda. Family, I'm not comparing Rwanda and M23 to South Africa. But the problem is all our fighter jets are moshegile, Jen. So ngicela ukuthi singaqala abanye abantu. Hi. Family, hi. You are dealing with South Africa, but right now you are saying you want to go and take over other countries. Oh, you guys are playing with fire, huh? Let's hear the next speaker. Family, so Nonkeni Atula, while he's telling you that he wants to take over Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Niatula Nonke. Uzoshayisa, umuntu uzoshayisa nkona. Let me tool here. Let's hear.
But that's what they say. They want to take over South Africa. So I'm kidding.
Yeah, mar on stage. Indaba ukuthi you want to. The problem is if you want to take off other countries, the problem is the country might be small, but somebody will fund that country. Look at Congo, how big it is. But they are defeated by M23 and it's small. But somebody will come and put. So, please focus on your internal affairs because Nintan Funia African unity. So, and now you are starting to say, no, we want to go there and fix Zimbabwe. I think Pumelap. Skumbuza, how are you, bro? Nitulele nonke niyam support. How are
Yeah,
you?
brother. How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
I just came to support the life of an African brother. And then the topic here is saying Traore. I think Traore is fighting for
So,
us Africans.
no, let me start the topic. The topic is Ibrahim Traore fighting for all Africans? And will we run to Burkina Faso as soon as it wins? Because we are all over Europe, we are all over other countries, and me myself, as soon as Ibrahim Traore wins, I'm running there. So some of the people, they are going to go there and start brothels, prostitution. Some of them, they are going to take over buildings there, hijack buildings. Some of them, they are going to start calling Ibrahim Traore and his people xenophobic, because eventually the people of Burkina Faso, after they win, they are going to say, no, we want to be prioritized first. You see, they are going to say, no, these jobs belong to us. We can't suffer when other people are doing well. They will say, no, we want to have the first class. We want to have the best of our nation. That's how they are going to say. And some Africans will say, like me, I will say, but we helped you. They will say, no, 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 no. You put people of Burkina Faso first. What is your take? Do you think they will be wrong, or do you think they will be right? And do you think Ibrahim Traore is fighting for Zimbabwe, Zambia, Nigeria, and Uganda? What is your take? Let me close my mic. You have your 5 minutes.
I personally believe Abraham Traore is not fighting for breadcrumbs. He's fighting for Africans. Because already, if you look at it, in Africa, the only poor people who are fighting these wars are poor people. Rich people, they are already united. Wealthy people, they want Africa to be one, because they know that the more business runs with numbers. That's why we will see, if you go to Lesotho, if you go to Zimbabwe, if you go to Zambia, if you go to Namibia, if you go to Rwanda, you will see ShopRite there. You will see DSTV there. These people, they understand that business means numbers. We are not talking about criminals. To think that anybody can go to a country and just take it. You've seen now, if you want to see fire, look at what Iran is going to do to Israel. Those people, God will fight for them. You can't be a human and hate people. That's a spirit of a devil. If someone is a criminal, that person must be a criminal. I want to believe that a man like Traore is going to be supported by
I didn't get the last statement that involved the devil. Can you please give us that
I
one?
believe, if for instance, I don't know you, my brother. You live where you live, and I live where I live. And if I hate you because maybe you come from a country that a certain individual came to me, and that person was coming from your country, and maybe that person did wrong to me, and then I start hating you on that regard, I think I'll be a possessed person of some sort. So I think in that scenario, you find people labeling everybody to think everyone is a criminal. They are coming to our country. They are doing this and that. But it's not true that everybody want to leave their countries. People, like for instance, the country that I come from, it was destroyed by the Mzungus because we fought to wanting to live equal to them, not to just work for them, not to be banking our money in the Mzungu's banks. No, we wanted to be equal to them. They crashed our country. They deliberately crashed our country with the backup of the countries like America. That's why America is firing shots and warnings to countries to say, If you don't behave, we are going to withdraw our aid, followed by sanctions. You know what it means? If a country is under sanctions, people will be like dog eating dog in that country, which other country. So if you are saying, if you're comparing the entire 54 countries in Africa, those with more Muzungus, those are the people that are being supported. That countries are being supported by these Western people because they are protecting their own. They're not protecting black men. That's why you see even this our lives here. If you start mentioning a Mzungu and distorting them, it will never take 2 seconds they close shut you down because we don't own anything. We are just there, we are existing, we're not living. So that's why you are fighting for crimes. But I believe that rich African people and rich Muzungus in Africa, they want Africa to, they are already united. But poor people will be fighting for breadcrumbs. That's why we'll be fighting for jobs. Traore is trying to say, guys, we cannot keep on fighting for these jobs. We own these things. So if you go to any country in Africa, they've got all the resources that you are talking about. You have them, but they are owned by people elsewhere. As long as we are all divided, we fall. That's why Africa will remain the weakest place so people can come and play with us the way they want. Now Chinese are on their way. They're coming to conquer us. And then if we will end up speaking their languages, we will be singing their national anthem. They will have their own country in any country. Like you go to Zambia today, there's a Chinese police station there because Zambia was owing them. They went there and say, we want this
I
territory.
have 2 questions for you as you land.
Yes, man.
Okay. One of the question is this. I will give other speakers time to speak just after this.
Yeah.
I see they are having their hands up. One question is this: was your country destroyed by the Muzungu?
Big time,
when
man.
you are saying a country that there's a lot of Muzungu are protected, don't you think South Africans are right to say we need this Muzungu because
No,
they
no,
are
they're not,
protected?
they're not protecting. They are not protecting these black people. They protect their own. That's why they're
I
not hiding it.
understand.
They are saying it.
Look,
So
brother,
I'm not talking. I'm too scared. I'm very
brother,
scared to be talking about South Africa. I don't want to
Mbuzo,
engage about that. I want to talk
Mbuzo.
about Africa.
I'm not saying, okay, let me say, if Burkina Faso, they keep the Muzungus there, and do you think Europe will protect them? Because they were there. France was there. Were they protected?
You see, so Burkina Faso now is taking this route because the people were benefiting there. People were protected there. They were having France army bases. They were just sucking the Burkina Faso to dryness. Now, Traore is saying we can do these things on our own without anybody managing us. So
I understand. I understand. So right now you are saying, do you blame your government for chasing out Muzungu? Because South
no.
Africans,
Never. I will never do
look,
because I live in
brother,
these
brother,
Zungus. No, I don't blame
Mbuzo,
them. No.
Mbuzo, you are
Yeah.
not listening to the question. You respond before you hear the question.
All right.
Don't
Go ahead.
respond before you hear the question.
Sorry, brother.
Okay. So I'm saying, do you blame your government for taking land for the Mzungu? Because South Africans, they are saying, no, we are not going to disturb Mzungu. We are going to stay with the Mzungu. And you guys are saying,
This is
no,
fair.
they are oppressed. The Burkina Faso people are right. And you're saying, Julius Malema, Viva. So, but they are saying, no, we love our Muzungu. They told me so. They are saying Rupert is a patriot. I don't agree with them, but Nzotini, that's what they want. So we keep it to that. So don't you think it's smart for them to say, no, 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 no. We're not going to do what other Africans did. We are going to do it like Utata Mandela, a rainbow nation. What is your take on that? They
My
are saying
take.
rainbow nation.
I wouldn't want to speak about South Africa. I want to talk about my country. I think
Yeah,
our
talk
country did
about
not
your
take
country.
my
Let's
my
talk about
people.
Zimbabwe. Let's talk
Okay.
about Zimbabwe.
My
Do you think Zimbabwe doesn't need white people?
No, it doesn't, because they don't need them because they did not take white Muzungus anything from Muzungus. No, they wanted to be equal to Muzungus, and the Muzungus, you know what they did? I've seen, there was a farmer who had
And And give me one country, Skumbuzo, give me one country that is doing well without the Mzungu.
Without, I mean, if your question would be saying, give me one country where black people are better in that country. There's none.
No, I'm saying give me one country that is doing well without Mzungu, because I want to show you something about Mzungu, because you
You
don't
know,
like Mzungu. You
I've
don't like
traveled Africa,
Mzungu,
yeah.
but
To be honest with you,
yeah.
I've traveled Africa, yeah. If you look at a country, for instance, if you go to any country in Africa, there are pockets where places, people, there's this margin, the big gap between the poor and the rich. So
But you are
any
not
country,
answering. I'm
yeah.
saying give me one country that is doing well without Mzungu. That's the only point that I'm bringing to you.
The brother mentioned Rwanda. You know, I was in Rwanda, but in transit to the UK. Yeah?
Brother, the question is give me one country that is doing well without Mzungu.
I
Just
want to
one.
agree with the brother that mentioned Rwanda. I think Rwanda is infrastructure. If you go there and look at their buildings and their
Kumbuzo.
schools, I said,
Kumbuzo. You are
yeah.
saying you want to agree with the brother. I'm saying give, if you don't know or there is none, you can just say I don't know or there is none. Give me one country that is doing well without Mzungu.
The one that I've seen with my eyes is, I think, it's Rwanda.
No problem. But the comment section, they are saying there is Mzungus in Rwanda. So I
No,
think
I
you
mean,
are not right.
you know, there is Mzungus in Rwanda, but if you go to Rwanda, for instance, there are banks, there are petrol stations. You know, if you look at them, even if you go to a five-star hotel in there, the owners are the
So,
local people,
so
like the African people.
I hear you, brother man. So we have to agree that the Mzungus have got that. We need to learn more before we challenge
No,
them.
no, no,
So
no, no, no.
don't.
I don't think so.
So,
These people, I don't want to,
brother,
with that, I will say no.
brother, brother, you can't say you don't think so, yet you don't have Mzungus in your country, are not doing well. So why would you want,
I grew up with Mzungus. I know Mzungus more.
sorry,
I know Mzungus more than my
Kumbuzo,
African people.
Kumbuzo,
Yes,
why
boss.
would you advise other African countries to fight Mzungu,
No, they
yet,
don't. No fighting. No,
yet,
no fighting. No fighting.
brother, brother, why would you want the other African countries to take things away from Muzungu? Yet you did an example, people saw it and they said, no, 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 no. So don't you think you were a good example for other countries to say, no, we are not taking this road? Because your people are all over, bro. How did that help you? Because
But
you fight people.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised, my
Yeah,
brother. Let me say this to you.
sure,
I'm surprised
sure.
to think. Okay, if you look at it now, there the Mzungus are all over. If you go to even if you go to anywhere, Mzungus are all over. They left their places. They went to us. What's wrong with people traveling? We don't want criminals in other
Okay.
countries. We don't want people who
All
are
right,
taking
all
over
right.
other countries. But let people move.
Kumbuzo, don't you think they are these Muzungus when they come? Do they come with only a plastic bag? These Muzungus
Yes,
when
they
they
come
come?
with nothing.
No problem,
All the riches are from Africa. They don't have anything where they come from anyway.
brother, 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 brother. Look at this. Look at this. When the
Yes.
Mzungus they came to Africa, they had equipment, bro. Don't you think so?
They had canoes. They were traveling in a ship. How can you call it? How did they? Why did they brought nothing? They only came with a suitcase.
Brother.
They
Was
didn't
that
come with
ship
land.
nothing? Brother,
Hmm?
yes. How can you bring land to any country?
They didn't even have cattle. They own your animals. They own our animals in Africa. Why? Why are they
Brother,
owning our animals?
I hear you. I hear you. But when they came to a country like other countries, don't you see the infrastructure that they built? Was it black
It
people
was built by black people
who
and
were
cheap labor.
engineering
It
it?
was built by black people. America was built by blacks. UK, the undergrounds were built by black people. And the chains for nothing. They're not getting paid.
No
Infrastructure in Africa
problem.
was built by black people.
No problem. No problem. Let me give you other speakers. I think they want to. Let me mute my
Thank
mic
you.
a bit.
Thank you, bro. Can I drop?
I think as SN Point wants to say something. SN Point, let me give you there and go and drink some tea. Sure.
No, no, no. Thank you very much. I heard the gentleman was talking about Rwanda. saying that you were traveling, but it looks like you just there was just a transition there.
I spent 2 weeks
Where
there.
were
I
you
spent 2 weeks
going?
there. I spent 2 weeks there.
But you said you were transiting. Like, I don't
Yes,
understand. Do you
I was not
understand what I'm
saying
saying?
to stay. I went there. I stayed 2 weeks. Then I transit to UK.
So if you stayed in Rwanda, you know very well that majority. If where in Kigali.
Yes, in Kigali. Actually, yeah, in Kigali.
Oh no, thanks. It's full of hills there. But if you are honest, you'll then be honest with everyone here that are listening that in Kigali, most of those companies, the hotels and everything, are actually the international brand names that are owned by the Mzungus.
Which
I
ones
heard
are
you
they?
saying that. No, you know the international hotel, don't you?
No, you tell me which one is owned by Mzungu.
No, you will go and do the history because you were there. You have to then tell us which ones I'm asking you because you
I
were there
stayed.
in
All right.
Kigali.
I stayed in a city called Gisenyi. I think it was called Gisenyi, and I went to several
Brother,
places.
I asked you, were you in Kigali? You said
Yes.
yes.
Kigali, yes, I was in Kigali, but I was staying in Gisenyi. Kigali is where it does okay. If you have, for instance, I wanna come to Johannesburg from international, I have to go to Johannesburg. For me to go to a place, maybe I wanna go to Northwest or I need to go to be in Joburg for me to go there. So I'll do my things there and go
Brother,
to a
let me
cheaper
ask you a
place.
question again,
Your
and I'll
question, I
I'll
don't
be very
understand what
slow
you're
this
trying.
time. Were you in Kigali or were you elsewhere?
I was not stuck in one place. I was moving Kigali, but I was staying where I was sleeping in a hotel was in this place that I just
Let's
told you.
then, okay, Sharp, you did live in Kigali. Then let's start with Kigali. In
Yeah.
Kigali, they are when you talk of hotels, if indeed you are in Kigali, most hotels in Kigali are international.
You
When we're
can't just
saying
say more. You must
international,
mention the
we
name.
no,
Mention
brother,
one
please
name.
don't get angry. Don't get
No, I'm not
angry. We are
angry. That's
having
how it was.
engagement. Yes,
Okay.
I'm talking specifically of Kigali.
You're right.
I'm saying if you've been to Kigali indeed, you know very well, me and you, we know very well that majority of the hotels in Kigali alone are actually international brands, if we were to call it that, which mainly comes from Europe.
Majority of hotels in Kigali are nationalized. So I want to tell you
What are
one
you
thing.
saying? What
I
are
want
you
to tell
saying?
you. Let me say this to you. In the reason why you saw a country like the United Kingdom wanting to send to
Please,
send a lot of.
brother, don't confuse. Don't talk about other countries. We are in Kigali. We are in Rwanda. The
You're not
problem
listening.
with
That's
you
why
right now
you're
is
just
that you want
talking.
to change these things altogether. I'm asking. We are now in terms of the hotels that you
Which one?
saying that the
You're not
hotels
mentioning.
in.
We're just
Now
saying
you want to
hotels.
talk about.
Mention one hotel you're
Don't
talking
get
about.
angry. Let's have engagement. Don't get
Okay.
angry.
All right.
Yes, we are in
Kumbuzo,
Kigali in Rwanda.
they are not fighting you. We are trying to get a point. The reason I kept quiet is because I want other people also to learn. Because I don't know Rwanda, I didn't check some of the things. Family, there are some things I don't know, but I can also listen and learn. So, Skumbuzo, if you don't know, it's right to say don't know. If you know, you say you know. Family, it's okay to say no, I've not looked into that, or I don't know this question, or no, this I can answer. This, you don't have to be angry. If you don't know something, you don't know. If you know, you respond. It's easy, gents. We move because we don't have to have a hostile platform. We are having a conversation and we are trying to educate one another because there is 200 people here. So if you
Yes.
don't know, you just say you don't know. If you know, you respond. You don't have to
Yes.
divert and all of that. You can just respond. If you don't know, we move to something else. Easy.